have determination, have a goal set in mind. I mean, there's been many times that I don't have a business plan. Like, you don't have to have everything figured out, written down. As long as you're going forth and you're doing something, as long as you're trying.
Main Street businesses are struggling as they face challenges nothing like we've seen before. You're listening to the Behind Main Street podcast. Let's learn from real-world Main Street entrepreneurs, pick their brains, and learn their secrets to navigate, persevere, and overcome all the modern obstacles they face every day. Get ready to peek behind the stories, the struggles, and strategies of today's Main Street entrepreneurs. Welcome to the Behind Main Street podcast. Here's your host, Chris J. Cardona.
Great day, everyone. Welcome to the show. Whether it's your first time listening or are an avid listener, thank you so much for joining us. Show notes can be found at www.behindmainstreet.com. But before we get started, I would like to thank the sponsor for this episode.
Today's episode is brought to you by Thinkin' Local, a fundraising and giving-based marketing platform whose mission is to connect local Main Street businesses who care about making an impact in the local community with schools and nonprofits who believe in supporting their local businesses. Find out more by visiting local.com.
Welcome. For today's episode, I'm very, very excited to interview Kristina Gutierrez, a local womanpreneur and co-owner and managing partner of Fresh Cut Foods LLC, a catering company she founded with her executive chef best friend, Sheena. They are a local homegrown food company who is taking the Inland Empire by storm with their new brand and product, GrabNGo Cuisines, that offers our busy local community access to a healthier and convenient meals prepared and cooked with ingredients sourced responsibly and locally. Kristina, are you ready to take us behind the curtains and dig into your story?
Let's do it.
Awesome. Well, I've given our listeners a little bit of a sneak peek of who you are. Why don't you tell them a little bit more about yourself and what it is that you do?
Well, again, my name is Kristina Gutierrez, and I am a local Preneur, as Chris said. So yes, as he said, we founded it in 2014. Me and my best friend, Sheena, who is the executive chef. She had just graduated, I would say, from school, Pasadena Culinary of Arts, Le Cordon Bleu. And then I had already gotten my degree at Cal State Fullerton in communications. And we basically, the idea came that we wanted something healthy and fast and ready prepared meals, but we didn't want to have to go to basically a McDonald's or a Burger King or any fast food. We wanted something healthy and we wanted it fast because we had such busy lives. And there wasn't any at the time. And basically when we started it, there was hardly any Wabba girls, I don't think, ever out here. Really nothing healthy at the other fast food chains. And we basically put our heads together, and my dad said, well, you don't have any means for a fast food restaurant as we wanted to put up. And so why don't you guys try your hand at catering and see if you even like it? Because tidbit, I didn't even like cooking. So that's the funny part, is that why I started a cooking company when I didn't even like cooking. But we did it. We ended up really liking it. Fast forward to 2022, we are doing amazing. We have been doing weddings, birthdays, anniversaries, corporate events, special events. And then due to the pandemic, we opened our GrabNGo Cuisines, in which we just opened our online store for that last year. And that's been growing as well. And so we hope to get our GrabNGo Cuisines in arenas, stadiums, airports, stuff like that. So that's where we're at right now. An idea from these 20-something-year-olds came out of a business. And so now we're here and we're expanding, and it's growing.
That's wonderful. Maybe tell us a little bit about what your family or friends, or something interesting that your family or friends would say about you, Kristina.
I would like that they would say that I'm hardworking. I would probably say that they would say I'm a singer. So that's something that nobody really knows about me unless you hear me.
Now they will.
Now everyone's gonna ask. Yeah, I've sung for like the Latino Los Angeles Chamber. I've sung for the NLBWA in Los Angeles. I mean, yeah.
Wow.
Hire me for your weddings. No, just kidding. But yeah, no, I would hope that they say that I'm a hard worker and that I'm a great person.
Wonderful, wonderful. How would you describe your mission in life?
My mission in life is definitely to be somebody in this world that makes a difference. Do something that creates positivity in the world, not just in one person's life, but in the world. So basically is to have a mark in this world and to create something, to be somebody that changes the world for the better. So, yeah.
Absolutely. What would you say people misunderstand about you the most?
I'm intimidating. I can be intimidating.
In what way?
I guess my face. No, I would say that, yeah, like I would say the whole intimidation. I've heard that a lot. I misunderstood in that sense, in the sense that that I'm approachable. Like I will talk to anybody, that I will help anybody. So I would say in that sense that people don't understand that about me.
They just have to get to know you a little bit better. I think, a lot of us
basically,
sometimes people are intimidated by just with talking with other people, especially like the younger generations and the younger generations, even younger than us, because we're so socially connected that sometimes we don't know how to talk to someone in real life anymore in a way.
Yeah. And I mean that, I've always had the problem with like when I'm focused, I'm super focused and I'm in work mode and I'm not very talkative and I'm not very like sugarcoating things. I'm very just straightforward and blunt because I need to get things done. And I think that's where I get like, the misunderstanding that I'm just, in work mode or I'm just trying to get things done. And the way I come off is not the real me. I don't know.
Gotcha. Or if there was one thing that you value most in life, what would you say that would be?
Definitely my friends and family. I mean, I would say that this business is not just for me and Sheena, it's for our friends and family. I mean, we're trying to create something that goes on for generations to come. So I would say I'm creating a legacy here. So this is definitely for everyone around me.
Definitely. I mean, you touched on something earlier, like leaving a mark in the world is something that's important to you. Have you ever had thoughts about, on the short term, a lot of us think about the legacy that we leave, in years, like years and years from now. But have you had thoughts about the legacy or the impact that you'll have in the short period of time, like in 5 years or so?
Yeah. So my mom has always instilled in us that we need to volunteer. And I think that's where I get it from, volunteering and just giving back to people. The same thing with my grandparents. They've just always given back. And, my whole family is very giving. So I've always had those traditions instilled in me. And so I do that with my business. If at all possible, anytime we have like meals that are, sitting there and nobody's taking them or, we overcooked or, what have you, or we have more food for our catering, I always go to like the local food banks or the local shelters and ask if we can give that to them. We also do a lot with, like there's a Pomona shelter that we also actually do every every year we do like a Christmas buffet. And so we like to give back a lot. And I would say that's my kind of giving back. In 5 years, I mean, I hope that my mark on this world will be that I'm in airports, at least in the US. And so that would be me giving back in the sense that we need better food in those airports. You know, we need better food in these stadiums. We need healthier food. And so what do people want? They want healthier food. And so that's what I'm trying to do, is get my meals in those arenas, in those airports, so that I can give back in that way as well.
Most definitely. I think as entrepreneurs, we forget that we are in business to make a difference. Whatever that is, you know, we're selling a product or a service, and there's a reason. We're not just selling a widget for whatever, right? Like, even if you're selling toothpaste or like a bag, like you think that your bag or your toothpaste is better than someone else, and it can improve someone's life. And I think sometimes we
Right.
forget that we have a responsibility as entrepreneurs to continue and succeed, because whatever product or service that we do, like the stuff that you guys do, bringing healthy meals to families, when sometimes meals have become like an afterthought, like let's grab something that's quick. But I think the unique thing about what you guys are doing is you solve both. You're providing them something quick with your new brand, something quick, but also healthy. So I think that's a social responsibility that you guys are able to fulfill, not just by being in business, but like you said, being in all the airports and all that stuff. So that's going to be amazing. I can imagine.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically what we're trying to do, and just trying to create some sort of awareness of just eating healthier, and that you don't have to go out and get fast food just because it's fast. There's this other option that you can get that's also fast, and it's also healthier for you. And so just having a staple in the world like that.
I'm curious, if you had $100 million tomorrow, what would you do, or what would you spend it on?
Definitely, I would spend it in expanding our company. Definitely get like our own huge warehouse. I would get our own kitchen. Right now we're out of a rental kitchen, which is great. We've been there for the last 7 years, and it's been amazing, but I would like to have my own kitchen. And definitely give back to those, to the volunteer works, shelters. I mean, I always say that I'm very blessed to be in the position that I am, to be able to do what I am able to do, due to my family, my husband. So I never lose sight of the fact that at any moment, all of it can be taken away from me again, you know, as it once was. But no, I mean, all of it can be taken away from us at any given moment. It can be taken away from my parents, my family. We can all of a sudden all be homeless in us, you know, in a blink of an eye. And I think people lose sight of that too, because nothing is promised in this world. So I kind of always have that in the back of my mind, like, you have to give back, because at any moment, if I were to be in that situation, I would want somebody like myself to reach out to me as well and try to help me, or offer services that that the other person has that I don't.
Most definitely. I mean, you touched on family a lot. What was your childhood like growing up?
Awesome. So I grew up with, my dad's always been an entrepreneur. He's a local entrepreneur as well, doing amazing. He's Shell Roofing, so shout out to Shell Roofing. And basically, he's always been an entrepreneur. I basically grew up watching him and learning from him, and I also had the family aspect of growing up with all my cousins. I have like 15, 18 cousins, something like that. And I grew up with all of them, as well as my grandparents babysitting us. So that, I would say, had a lot to do with my upbringing as well. Just being very grounded, very business oriented as well, because I grew up around it. And what to do, how you should act. I mean, at a very young age, I was around it. So I was able to, I think I'm able to grasp, quicker of what the business world expects or how it is. And so basically things that come at me, it doesn't really faze me because I've seen it, and I've seen my dad overcome what can happen in business, So yeah, no, family is the main reason why every aspect of my life, works well because they help out and they support so much. So
wow, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a dream career or a dream job as a child?
It's funny. I think that I always said I wanted to be a veterinarian. And I think I always said that just because back in the day, I didn't know what the word entrepreneur, I didn't know that word. What 5-year-old knows what the heck an entrepreneur is, right? I didn't know that that's what my dad was called. I just knew he had his own company, but I always had in the back of my head, literally from when I was little, that I wanted to be a business owner. And what I didn't know, but what I would tell everybody is that I wanted to be a veterinarian because I really liked animals, and I still do. But in the back of my mind, I didn't know what they wanted me to say because I always knew that I wanted to be a business owner, like my dad. And I knew that it wasn't, as I mentioned, I grew up around it. So I knew that it wasn't like all roses and daisies every time. I knew that there were struggles, but I just always, I guess I am my dad's child. I just always knew I wanted to be a business owner, and which kind of made it hard actually in college or high school, going to college, because everybody asked, okay, what do you want to do? Pick something, and there wasn't an entrepreneur class in my college at that moment. In 2019, I graduated from Cal State Fullerton, and they didn't have entrepreneur classes back then. And I'm glad that they do now, but before they didn't have that. So I just had to pick anything because I didn't know in my head what the heck I wanted to do, other than I knew I wanted to be a business owner. So
wow. Were you the type of
Yeah.
kid that liked school, or did you have any particularly favorite subject or maybe least favorite subject for that?
I love school. Actually, I would still go to school. Like, honestly, I think I would have sometimes in the hard moments when I am working, I'm like, gosh, why did I pick this career? I honestly, I'm like, I would be a great doctor. Like, I would have went all the way up. I would have already been, the top doctor, the top lawyer, because you go up this ladder and they have all this curriculum of, if you just follow these steps, you'll get to the top, you'll get to being a doctor, you'll get to being a lawyer. In our profession, there is no book, there is no ladder, there is no blueprint of how to do this or how to get from A to Z. And you can be at Z and there's still more to go. So there's just no blueprint, for you to learn any of this. So it's funny because I do think sometimes dang, I wish I would just pick an easier career. I would have already been there, but I really love what I do. I would say though that my favorite thing to study was history. I love history. I love to know where things came from and what their backstory is. I love it. I love the architecture of history as well. But yeah, I love school. I would say I would still be in school. I would just go all the way up to being a doctorate in what? I don't know. I just do it just to have it.
Most definitely. Was there something in your childhood that when you kind of think back or look back at, you feel that it sort of led you to exactly the place that you are in today?
Like I said, I think it was just watching my dad be a business owner, and he owned a party rental store here in Chino, and I was around it every day. but at that moment, I think I realized that I wanted to be a business owner anyway. So, I don't know if it was that time that I just realized like, yes, I want to do this, because for some reason I just always knew, like a little thing in my head just always knew I wanted to be a business owner. That was like literally my dream job. I didn't know in what, but I just always knew I wanted to be a business owner. But no, I mean, I was a lost soul, I would say, until my dad just said, like, why don't you guys start a catering company? When we got that idea to have a brick and mortar that had healthy fast food meals, but we didn't have money for that, being that we had gotten out of college. So that was the turning point, that idea. But I wouldn't say there was anything before.
Wow. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Well, now that we've gotten to know your story a little bit more, are you willing and ready to go deeper?
Yeah, I'm already on this, so I guess.
Let's take this conversation behind the alleys and go deeper.
Well, what would you say? What does being a local Main Street entrepreneur mean to you?
Honestly, I don't like to categorize myself in like the people that are like doing bigger things, because I don't think I am yet. But for me, like, I think it's like the people that are more successful than me in the community. I know it's like putting myself down, but I think like the mainstream people are like the more successful people. That's what I think of an Main Street entrepreneur, somebody that's gotten like, they've been in the business many years. They have a staple, they have structure, they have everything going. I feel like I'm in like the beginning stages of something like great, but I'm also, structuring myself still. So
Most definitely. And that's really the goal. Like, one of the goals for this podcast, to be able to document some of these journeys that budding entrepreneurs, are trying to take. I mean, I think even if you've become successful, like you said earlier, you go from A to Z. Once you get to Z, you can go to Z1, Z2, Z3, Z4, like, and so on and so forth. So I think that journey is what we want to be able to kind of discuss and talk about, and things of that nature, that a lot of the listeners for this episode and any of the other episodes will kind of find gold nuggets from. So I think, that's what it means for you and means for us to listen to your story, you sharing your journey and things of that nature. So we really appreciate you on that. You mentioned your dad. I mean, I'm very familiar with your dad, what he's done for the community, what he does for, not just the business community, but to just general community out there. It's very apparent and clear that he's been an entrepreneur influence in your life. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more about what some of those things that you kind of saw him go through, and what is it that you were able to pick up that sort of inspired you? You know what? Like, because like you said, it wasn't all flowers and rainbows, and you saw a lot of the, like maybe the things that people might not see, right? People like to see success, but they don't like to see, or they don't get a chance to really go in and see all the nitty gritty that goes into it, the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into a successful story. What are some things that you saw from your dad that really influenced you to be able to take your business from where it has been and go through like the pandemic, right? Being able to pivot and think of something, and you guys are coming out now like better than ever.
Well, the one thing that I would say is that people think that, especially the ones that just, start off, and I'm not putting their excitement down, but they think that it's going to be, they start a company and it's going to be all roses and flowers. And, you're going to have some lows and some highs, but you're still going to be in business and you're still going to be going. There are a lot of failures in when you have a company. There are a lot of times that people don't come out of, of the failures, like, the businesses that have gone under. That's not a failure though. If you're an entrepreneur, you know that at any given moment, this could all go down in smoke. And you basically have to, A, pick up the pieces and figure out a way, or B, you can fall with the pieces and, never get back up again. The one thing that I did learn from my dad is that regardless if you fail, it's how you get up. It's how you keep on going. So he had a party rental store in Chino that he sold off. And what he does, I think that was also his growing pain. I think he also learned a lot from that company that he took to his now commercial roofing company, and which is why he's so successful. It's those growing pains that you have to go through. It's those failures that you have to go through. I actually went to a lot of the like the job sites, or not job sites, but so I would go and pick up party rental supplies with him. And, it was a job, yes, but I just didn't see it as a job. And I see it like that in my own company, is that when I work, I don't see it as a job. I don't see it like that. I may be like, at one moment, dang, like I'm tired. I don't want to go today. But then when I get there, it's all great. Like I remember what I like to do. But anyways, I did go through a lot. I did go to a lot of like the jobs and go pick up like the party rental stuff. And I was in the office and saw like what he did and stuff like that. But, I mean, I would say it's just like the failures for me that people need to understand that I picked myself back up because I don't see my failures as failures, if that makes sense.
Most definitely.
I would say it's funny because now that I think about it, like, yeah, I failed a lot. Like I failed a lot in my catering, and, I've made wrong decisions. And not everybody has, liked us. There's always going to be people that don't like what you do, don't like what you sell. There's always going to be people like that. But I've never seen those as my failures. And which is why I guess I keep on going because I'm just, it phases me for that quick second, but then I just, well, okay, go ahead. You just keep on going, right? But anyways, I don't even know what the question was anymore, but I would say, like, as an entrepreneur, the one thing that they need to realize is just like the failures are not your failures. You have to realize that those are just an everyday thing that's going to happen. And if you see those as failures, then that's when you'll go down with them. But if you just see them as growing pains and you learn from them, I may be rambling here, but
no, this is great. I mean, you're right on the money about, some of the things that you saw from your father, and some of the things that you learned from him, his failings and your personal failings, and you were able to combine them both, in being able to kind of come out on the other side better, right? Like, you're right. I mean, the failures are your learning experiences. I was talking to another entrepreneur on an earlier episode, Travis Stefan. We were talking about failing forward or failing your way to the top. I think there's there's all about, like, especially the younger generation, you see on TikTok, you see it on like Instagram, you see a lot of shortcuts. You see a lot of like the five ways or one hack to be able to do this. But sometimes in business, there is not one hack. Like, you really have to go through something and then learn from that, pick up the pieces and be able to move on and learn from it and dust yourself off and go forward. So I think, that's what so eloquently.
I would also say, like, the other thing is that, so my dad is business is risky.
Yes.
You either got to go all for it, or you don't, and you just don't go anywhere. Everything is a risk, especially, number one, the money, but the other thing is that it's just risky. I went full time when I was in 2017. So that's when we like to say, like, that was when we actually started, because we had part-time jobs in 2014. Actually, no, we had full-time jobs. Sheena and I, we both worked in HR. We had full-time jobs. And when we would come home, we would do the proposals. And so it was an everyday, like, it was a hustle. Like, we literally were hustling. We'd come home 9 to 5, and then we'd get off, and then we'd do our proposals. The other thing is that we weren't really able to expand at all. I remember having a conversation with my dad and asking him, do you think that I can do a full-time job and still grow my company? He said, no, you won't be able to. With a company, and I understand, when you are passionate about something, you have to put your full force into it, your 100% attention, your 100% passion, everything, in order to grow. And so 2007, that was 2016 when I asked him. In 2017, I quit mainstream corporate life, and it was the best decision I've ever made. But it was risky. I had no money coming in. Just because we had a catering company in 2014 doesn't mean that very many people knew about us, because we weren't able to grow it because we had Monday through Friday jobs. So anytime people would ask us to do a job during the week, we couldn't, because we had jobs. So the real work didn't actually happen until 2017, where we literally went door to door to the auto dealerships and handed our flyer out into the industrial areas around the Inland Empire and handed our flyers out. That was the dirty work. We had to go door to door. We had to do anything we could to get our name out there, because we had no income coming in. So it was kind of like a do or die situation in that moment, but if I've always grown up with the fact that, and it's been something in our family that we've always said, that hard work and determination, with hard work and determination, anything can happen. If anything, that's what my dad has always instilled in us, is that, and that's what I saw growing up, is just with hard work and determination, you can never fail. You will fail, but as I mentioned, as an entrepreneur or anything you're trying to succeed at, those aren't failures. Those are just stepping stones, to making yourself better. So one stepping stone that is funny, because our very, very, very first catering job that we had, it was a large quinceañera. And another thing that I've always learned from my dad is that you just go for it. As an entrepreneur, as you're doing, Chris, with this podcast, is that you have an idea, you go for it. It's basically, I've always had this kind of like notion, is that I'd rather try for it than never have tried it at all. I think to always be the one to say, I wish I did that. I wish I did this. I never wanted to be that person. And so that's what I always try to instill in anyone, or in myself at least, just go for it, because you don't know what's going to happen. Or even if you fail, it's fine. At least you know that you don't like it, or at least you know what came out of it. So our very first catering job, we weren't ready for it at all. By the way, it was 150 people. This is like 6 months into what we just started catering. And we get a quinceañera, 150 people, and it was crazy. We learned a lot of stuff, but one main thing is that we learned that we need to have a catering contract. At that moment, we didn't have a catering contract. And even working with your family friend, you need to have a catering contract. And a lot of, I think, entrepreneurs go through that too, working with family or friends. You bend the wheel for them a little bit. But fact of the matter is that you shouldn't. not that much, at least. But yeah, there's been little instances like that I could have seen it as a failure and being like, you know what, I'm done. I tried and it failed, but I didn't. It wasn't really a failure to me. It was just, okay, well, we're never going to do that again. Let's move on and grow from it. So every failure that I've had is not been a failure. It's just been, okay, well, my bad. I'll make it better next time. So that's what we do.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, like, going through all of that, right? Like, you guys started your business in 2014, sort of part-time, like your side hustle. I'm going through that. And then finally just going all in, right? Quitting your job. I mean, like you said, you were like basically going door to door, trying to hustle for business. And you guys did that. And you went through a bad first contract and all that stuff. And then, but you guys pushed through. And then going through all of that, I mean, you had your ups, you had your successes. And then, the unexpected happens, like, the COVID pandemic happens. I would imagine all your catering business, pretty much like weddings and quinceañeras and all these stuff are shut down. What was that journey like? And what were some of the challenges that you guys faced during that time and, in order for you guys to sort of pivot?
So it was hard. It was extremely hard. And I definitely didn't do it by myself. I was at the lowest point of my life. It's really hard to talk about it because, basically, I mean, even now I had a tremendous, I was gonna have at least a tremendous 2020. Way better than even now. I had way more contracts lined up with corporate. I had way more events already lined up. As of February, I already had like at least 10 to 12 weddings booked for that year. And that didn't include like the corporate. So we were really on a roll. That was going to be our year. Literally in March, I was trying to get a van. And thank God my husband said, you know what, let's just wait until April. And I was like, no, but I really need a van. I have so many jobs. I'm tired of, spending all this money on rental vans and I'm just wasting my money. And I was like, I have the money. Like, I just want to do it. And he said, well, let's just wait, until April. Thank the Lord he said that, because I literally was going to get a van at like the first week or two of March. And by the second week, third week, we started hearing about the pandemic. And the very first time it affected us was I was at an event. I was actually at a wedding. It was my last wedding that I did in 2020. And, we heard like they're going to shut down the US. And we're like, what the heck? Like, they can't do that. As all of us were like, that can't happen, And then sure enough, Monday comes around. I get a call from one of our weddings that were supposed to go on that week. And the bride just calls us crying. And she said, I have to cancel my event. And I was like, oh, okay. And then that's when we heard they were shutting everything down. After that, for 2 weeks, almost every single day, I had one of my clients call me and ask not only to cancel their event, but to ask for their deposit back. Okay, when you have no money coming in and you're giving all of this money out, what are you left with? And I think just taking a call every single day was heartbreaking. I basically felt like in a matter of 2 weeks, like my career had ended and was ripped from my grasp, and there was nothing I could do about it. And yeah, it was incredibly hard. I've always been very, very goal oriented. I was always been very like, you know, very driven. And I've never needed anybody else to, you know, pick me up or help me with that. I've always just just hard headed, you know, like, I don't care what you say, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to go all for full force. And this time I couldn't do that. I couldn't do it. It's crazy. It's like, it's emotional because it's a really, really hard time. And I didn't have my support group, which was my family. I couldn't go see them. You know, none of us could go see our family, and that they've always been like my support. And if anything, like, I would have went to my dad and asked him, like, what do I do? You know, what happens? Like, where do I go? And I couldn't. I didn't have my business partner with me. You know, it was hard. It was a very, very hard moment for me. And sorry, I went through a depression. It was a really, really hard depression, and actually scared me for the first time. That was actually the first time I realized how delicate the mind is, and how mental health plays a part in even somebody like me that is super driven, someone that's, you know, that doesn't need anybody usually to pick them up or help them. At that moment, I had to drop all pride. It was incredibly hard. I mean, as a business owner, we're all super prideful, all of us. There's not one business owner that can say that they're not, because we are. You know,
Yes.
The business that we own, those are our babies. That we're super protective of them, and we're prideful. And so it took a lot for me to admit that I was not okay. And as soon as I did that, though, so basically, what happened was in April, so this is March, in April, one of our past clients that we did a buffet for called us up and said, hey, they're a company that does face masks. So they were super busy, and they were like, hey, just wondering, do you guys do any box lunches? And we're just like, well, I mean, yeah, like, we can. Basically, it was one of those entrepreneur things that clicked in our brains, that were like, well, I mean, yeah, we can. So we did it, and we did not know what the heck we were doing. We just did it. We came up with a label. We came up with a whole menu for her, and she purchased from us every single week. And I give her credit, because if it wasn't for her, honestly, I don't know how we would have picked up. I don't. So at that moment, we actually had already had our grab and go idea in our head. We created it in 2019, and we got him into San Antonio Winery, but it was just a short-lived kind of thing, and we didn't get very far with that. But it was, it was a trial and error kind of thing. But it was great. But at that moment, we still hadn't really tweaked it to made it how we wanted it. So at that moment, when she asked us, we just kind of put it together in a matter of 2 weeks, and came up with a label, came up with menus, came up with how we were going to do it. And by May, we opened it up to the public, because I told Sheena, I was like, you know what, like, we're not doing anything anyways, might as well see if anybody else wants it. And that's basically how GrabNGo Cuisine started. However, the mental state was still very, very, very raw. Like I said, I didn't pick myself back up on myself. My friends, I started a Zoom chat with my friends that lived like over like New York, Chicago, and they helped me a lot. And just talking to the chamber, just hearing everybody else's stories, or just being involved, just helped me to basically get back to like the mindset of a business owner. Because when I started those grab and goes, when they asked us, it's like basically like the light being shut out, turned off for a couple months. And then all of a sudden they want you to switch that light back on and turn your brain back on. But I couldn't. It wasn't working. And it took a long time took a couple months, I say, for my entrepreneur spirit to come back. Because even though I started those GrabNGo Cuisines, I mean, it was still difficult. We still had our kitchen insurance. I'm sorry, our bills coming in, our insurance coming in, all of that. So all of that was incredibly stressful. And we didn't get PPO loans. We didn't get PPO help. We didn't get all the loans that we were supposed to. We didn't get those. And so we basically just struggled. We struggled. We went through the struggle, and we went through the heartaches. We went through the mental breakdowns. Honestly, it wasn't until I realized that I needed help, actually, when I responded to a post from one of my previous, one of my colleagues, and she's a real estate agent, and everybody was like, oh, I pivoted this way, and I pivoted that way, and I pivoted this way. And everybody was like, oh, it's been great for me. And I'm just like, how is everybody doing this when I can't even get myself back up? I can't even get myself to think right. I mean, I'm still thinking my career's over. How am I, I'm praying that everybody still remembers my company, because, like they say, if you're not in the customer's eyes, I mean, in a blink of an eye, they can lose track of who you are, what your company does. And everything that I had built up until then, I was worried for. Basically, I was scared that I was going to have to start all over again. And so, yeah, that's basically what went on in my head that moment, is that my career ended. How am I going to pick myself back up? And what am I going to do? It was just more so once I figured out that I realized, okay, I'm not personally okay, then I think that's when I was able to start to realize okay, let me focus on myself first, and then I can focus on, the company. But yeah, it was a struggle. The struggle was mental and physical and emotional. I think I think that if anything ever comes my way, I don't think anything that will be worse than that. So
yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for sharing that story. That's very, very. First of all, kudos to you. That was impressive. To have gone through something like that, and I can't imagine. A lot of us go through certain things in our life, but we deal with it differently. And like you said, when you're going through something and you can't reach out to anyone for help, not because you don't want to, it's just because society just basically shuts down. You can't leave your house for shut down and all that stuff. And I think a lot of people went through something like that, but some of them never pivoted, were never able to kind of figure out what to pivot to, and their success stories kind of end from there, right? And you guys were able to pivot, and definitely shout out to that company that was there, that helped you guys get through, at least kind of throw you a bone, right? Just kind of throw you a life jacket, throw you a lifeboat, just to kind of keep your heads above water, so to speak. And I think that in itself was, I think, a sign that Christina and Sheena, there's more for you.
I was a really big advocate last in 2020 for the mental health side, because I knew there was still businesses struggling, some that may have not pivoted still, some that were still struggling. And they weren't being real with themselves, basically. Because it's like one of those situations, like, how can you help somebody else if you can't even help yourself, kind of thing. And, so I think that it's again, the pride. People, they have to realize, like, make sure that you are okay first. We can keep on going, but how productive are you really going to be? You're not really going to be able to come out with any ideas if you're not mentally okay yourself. Which is why I practice meditation now, because this business is so stressful as an entrepreneur. You're dealing with every single aspect of a company, which can affect your personal life, your personal finances. I mean, everything can basically go up in smoke. It really can. And so I think mentally, you have to mentally be okay, especially for running a company. And so me and Sheena try to do mental mindfulness, as we call it, and meditate and do yoga and, anything to help our stress level, basically. But yeah, I was a huge advocate in 2020, because I knew there was a lot of people still, like, struggling. And I think they were basically running on fumes. They were just, walking, and trying to keep up with what was going on. But it was like coming at them at rapid speed, and they didn't know what to do with it. And I feel bad for the companies that went under, all those restaurants that went under. There were some companies that, they've been there for years, and it's really sad. It's really sad that they went under. The other thing, as a business owner, I will say, is that you have to 100% be able to pivot at any moment. You have to grow with the times, basically. If you used to do something 2 years ago and it's not working anymore, well, don't keep using it. Do something different. Figure out why it's not working. I think a lot of those companies, some of those companies, not all of them, but some of those companies either couldn't figure it out, how to refresh, rebrand, restart their company, or they refused to. There's a lot of, like I said, it's the pride. And I'm the same way. I mean, it's my baby. I'm not going to let anybody else tell me, like, what to do, how to run it. But you do have to be open to what is going on in the times, what is going on with society, with public. What do they want? You have to listen to what they want. If you keep on doing the same thing, it's just not going to work anymore. It's just not. So I think that's also what helped us, is that we were just an open mind. We've always been, I've always been open to, at least hearing, like, okay, yeah, that's a great idea. But at least hearing what somebody has to say in order for me to grow, or just grow in general, and just be open to other things, other possibilities. The other thing as a business owner is that I would say, don't ever just stay in your lane. There's many lanes that can go. If something, like that GrabNGo Cuisine, if I would have just been like, no, we don't do that, my company would have been done. It really would have. I don't know if it would have survived after COVID. I don't know. I don't think so. I think our bills would have just put us in more debt. We would have claimed bankruptcy, maybe. I don't know. But I think that because we were open and, we were willing to just do it, what do you have to lose, basically? It's the risk that you play with the game. You just basically, whatever comes your way, take it, because you never know when it's gonna come around again. and you never know if that idea or that possibility is going to lead to something else.
For sure. What would you say, going through all of that, what was the most important part of that entrepreneurial journey?
It's funny. So I mentioned I value my family, my friends. However, I've always been a workaholic. So when I say I valued my friends and my family, of course I do. However, I would say at times I would have put my business before my things to do with my family or my friends, and with this pandemic, it actually helped me to realize that people are not going to be there forever. You hear that before, but actually seeing it and actually realizing when it's taken away from you, when I wasn't able to be with my family for a month, I'm not used to that because I live very close to my parents, my brothers and sisters, my family. I live very close to them, so I always see them. So when that happened and when it was taken away from me, it tore me down. That is my support group. So now I realize that I have to value the time more with my family and friends. So now I will actually put in my husband too, poor thing. He's always gone through it, like me not being around or me being on the phone till like 8 p.m. or, what have you. But now I put people first. I valued, like I said, everyone before. However, I didn't value their time as much as I should have. And so for me, that was the most, the one thing that I did get out of it, in that I will put my business aside because, and the other thing is money, which is kind of plays into that too. I was always like, oh no, we need to do that one. We need to do this one. We need another event. And going through all of that and not having even my own money, not having Fresh Cut money coming in, not having any money coming in, either personal or business. I learned to survive and to minimize on the things that actually matter and what I can live off of. But I realized that money will always come. If you work hard, you try, money will always be there. It'll always come. I'm a very spiritual person. So thank God he's always kept our business in his hands. And so I now, I will literally be like, no, I'd rather spend time with my husband, or I'd rather, for my mental health, if we're exhausted, I'd rather take that Saturday off and gather my thoughts and just give myself a break, rather than running myself thin like I used to. I realized that, we've gone through not having any money. I'm pretty sure we can live without that one event. So yeah, just valuing people more. I think, people are not going to be here forever. And, we need to value the time that we're around them. So
Absolutely. That was such great advice. If you could have one superpower, what would it be? But before you answer that, let's take a quick break.
Today's episode is brought to you by Thinkin' Local, a fundraising and giving-based marketing platform whose mission is to connect local Main Street businesses who care about making an impact in the local community with schools and nonprofits who believe in supporting their local businesses. Find out more by visiting local.com. And we're back, digging for gold on the Behind Main Street podcast.
So, Christina, if you had just one superpower, what would that be?
to fly. So I don't have to pay for airlines.
That would be good.
And then I can visit like my friends in New York and Chicago anytime, and then we could travel the world. Take my husband on my back.
That would be quite fascinating. In your opinion, what would you say, having gone through, like in a way, such like very eventful, traumatic experiences in business in the last couple of years, in your opinion, what is the most crucial personality trait that an entrepreneur needs to have to get through all of those and succeed?
Determination.
Wow.
They just have to have their own drive. I lost mine. I mentioned I lost mine. However, I looked for people to help me. So you can either be one of those that stands on the sidelines and waits for people to come to you, or you can be one of those that goes out and gets the help that you need. I knew that I needed help, so I went to go seek help. I went to go I let my friends and family know that I needed help, that I couldn't do this alone. And so I was determined to get back to where I was, and to not let this overcome me. I was, like I said, I'm hard-headed. So I was just determined that I wasn't going to be one of those victims. I was going to be a survivor. And so, you have to have a lot of determination. That's basically, like I mentioned before, you have to be your own cheerleader, your biggest cheerleader, because there is nobody. If you don't have a good support system, who else do you have other than yourself? You have to believe in yourself the most, because if you don't believe in yourself, then, other people can believe in you, and my family. Yeah, they believe in me, but if I don't put in the work, nothing's going to get done. Nothing happens. So my determination is the one thing that is basically the number one drive in why my business is growing, why my business is so successful. The one tidbit I would tell people is never be stagnant, or never just be comfortable in where you're at in business. Always strive for what else you can do, what better you can do. I see a lot of people not do this, and I think it's just maybe me that's like, no, I need to do more. I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to do more. That might be just me. But I would say if you want a successful business and you want to keep on growing, you have to be determined, and you have to do whatever it takes to do it. You have to be fearless, because it's all risk. So, without risk, there's no reward, and you won't know unless you try. So be fearless. If it scares you, then do it. There's many, many, many times many jobs that I've taken that I was like, oh my God, Sheena, we're not ready for this. I don't know. We can't do it. Oh my gosh, I don't know. And I just, you know what? You just do it. There's one saying that I have in my head, and I say this a lot because there's a lot of things that always scare me. I mean, I haven't done every single job that in the world that doesn't scare me. I haven't worked with, the president before. That would probably scare me, but I would do it. But I always say, and this is just because I'm spiritual, that God doesn't put anything in front of me that I can't handle. So
that was gold.
That was amazing. Thank you for sharing that. That was like just that part alone, I think that makes the podcast.
Oh, it's true though. It's true. If you're not spiritual, you can at least say, I'm tougher than I think I am.
For sure. For sure. Well, White House, give Christina and Sheena a call. If anyone
right?
that has worked with the White House or has connections with the White House?
You know what? I just want him to try my meals, my grab and go meals. I just want him to buy one at one of those newspaper stands. Just buy one, and that would just
and shout it out.
World.
Show it.
Yeah. Can you eat it in front of the camera too?
For sure.
That's all I ask.
If once you get stuck, I mean, you like you said, you get stuck and all that stuff. Is there someone or something that you like or you opt to turn to when you get stuck?
My business partner. So I'm very, very blessed to have a business partner. I always tell the people that don't have business partners, I don't know how you do it, because it's so hard. It's such a roller coaster of a journey that you go through. And I'm very blessed to have not only my business partner, but my best friend to go on this journey with. And we lean on each other so much. Through everything. If I'm feeling unconfident, I have her to at least she might be saying the same thing, but she will be trying to lift me up at the same time. And that's the other thing, is I wouldn't say to go into business with your best friend or your close friend or your family member by any means. It's actually really hard. I always say that I have two spouses. I have my husband, and then I have my work spouse, which is Sheena, because I have to not only make my husband happy, but I also have to make Sheena happy at the same time. And, it's the same thing. You have to put in the work with both of them. But I am grateful to have such a really, really good best friend and business partner, because we started off as best friends, but honestly, it's so sad. We're just business partners because we never have time to do the best friend things anymore. We always just talk about business. And so sometimes we'll schedule some movie time, a Hallmark movie time to watch and that's our best friend moment. But, we're all business, but, the one thing that has helped us to stay on track as being best friends is, when you're at work, it's only work. We usually, and I'm saying that in the sense that, don't bring your emotions to work. And we understand that. Yes, we have been mad at each other many times. We have disagreements many times. We have arguments many times. But we never let those arguments get in the way of our work. So we'll be at the kitchen, or we'll be next to each other. And if we've had an argument, we just won't talk to each other. We just do our work. And if we have to, then it's a, yes and no question. But we have that understanding that, just let her cool off, or let them cool off, and then come back to it the next day. But we have a really good dynamic, and I'm just blessed to have somebody that has been by my side through every situation. But I give kudos to any business owner that doesn't have a business partner, because I know what they go through.
Wow, absolutely. Especially you guys working in the kitchen with knives and stuff.
I know, right? We've never drawn into each other.
Good, please.
Thank God, right? Thank God, right? No, she's awesome. If anything, she's the sweetest person ever, and I am the crazy one. But no, she's awesome, and anybody that goes into business with their friends or family, they just have to understand that when you're at work, you're at work, and you leave all emotions to the side, and it's business, and that's it.
Definitely. But you guys were able to make it work, so that's a success story in and of itself.
We do. We definitely do. We know what we want, and we know what's at stake, and the price of the business it's way greater than having a little argument or not a disagreement. So
for sure. What is it that drives you to keep going?
I am crazy. No.
You mentioned that, but what else?
I'm crazy. I'm crazy about business. I don't know. I scare myself too, because honestly, I don't think there's an end point in my head. I really don't. What drives me is just the fact that I just want to create a legacy for my family. And I want to create something, as I mentioned in the beginning, I want to create something that is going to make an impact in this world, and something that my kids and their kids and their kids and their kids can keep on growing with it. And my friends also, I want to take everybody along for the ride. Everybody. But just me, it's just like always going, it's like, I think it was Whitney Houston or maybe Beyonce. I'm going to quote them though. It was one of them. Anyways, they said that if you don't wake up thinking about your passion of what you're doing, then you're probably not in the right business. So I think about business all the time. I wake up thinking about my company. I go to sleep thinking about my company. I am constantly thinking about what can I do better, or what can I do to grow it. But there is no end point in my head, which scares me, because it's a good and bad thing, because people think that I'm successful now, and in my head I don't, because I feel like I have so much growing to do. But at the same time, I don't think there is going to be an end point. I think that, I don't know there is never going to be a Z for me. I think I'm just always going to keep on. It's going to be Z1, Z2, Z3. But I don't know. I really don't know why I think so much about growing and being successful.
Well, it's your passion.
I just hope I get there.
It's your passion. I mean, you've mentioned a lot of things. You mentioned your family. You mentioned one of the things that you said earlier. Being able to give back, being able to create a legacy for your family. You guys have a great cause for, creating awareness for people to eat healthy. I mean, you talked about in 5 years airports in the U.S. What about you had the world and all that stuff. So I definitely, and Elon Musk is trying to go to Mars, so maybe eventually GrabNGo Cuisines will be found in Mars too. So
why not?
Absolutely.
I'm sure they're better than those pack things. I don't know what they're called.
Astronauts, they figure out how to pack stuff, right? Like they have peanut butter jelly sandwiches in the space station and things of that nature, which is fascinating. How they can get that there, but hey, they do. So there is a space.
I'm gonna have to look into that. I'm gonna have to look into that. You're giving me ideas. Maybe I can work with NASA one day. Jeez.
Being able.
I wasn't even thinking that way, but
yeah. Hey, it
could be on the moon.
Exactly.
Jeez.
If you,
I don't need that in my head.
Sorry. If you,
sky is the limit.
I know. I think my wife sometimes, I have people that I work with, clients and things of that nature, that I wake up, I don't know, sometimes I just wake up, right? Like you're thirsty or whatever it is, you just wake up in the middle of the night, like 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and then something that comes to your head, right? And for me,
right, an idea.
Yeah, right. And for me,
oh my
I don't
gosh,
write it down. I unload it to someone.
Me neither. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and Craig, he's hopefully he listens to this episode. I work with them with at Think and Local, and sometimes he would be like, what are you doing? I'm blasting him via chat or text, just like dumping a bunch of ideas, just hey, what if you guys do this, and that? And then he's messages me at 6 a.m. in the morning. He's like, what was that? What happened? What did you do? You weren't sleeping? The other day I was chatting with Denise from Viking Spawn. Shout out Viking Spawn Repair and Gaming. I was just, because we had a meeting the day before, and I was just in the middle of the night or in the morning, I woke up, I don't know, it was 4 or 5 a.m. I was And it was just flowing. Like, you just get into that tangent. That is just like, it's a flow, like, right? Like, it's just a flow. It's like, oh, this, like, and I think you're, that's what happens to you. And the only difference is that only happens to me in spurts. You're probably like, just like a rocket, like,
but I can thankfully turn it off. Like when I am tired, when I go to sleep, I am tired. However, there are many moments where it has kept me up and I'm just like, why can't I just turn this off? It's usually it's when those things that scare me. When I have the event and I'm scared of doing it because I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? Those are the moments that scare me and I'm like up. But the ideas, the bad part is that in bed, I will literally start Googling like, oh, that's right. I can do that. Oh, what if I did this? And it'll be anything, like the way I, made my buffet look, the way I'm making my food look, like any idea, I will start to like Google it. And then I blast Sheena with all of these like, boom, 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 boom. Like, what do you think about this? Oh yeah. Can you do this? Oh yeah. What about this? And she's just like, just wait. Yeah. That's me. I don't understand why it like keeps on going, but
yeah, it's fun though, right?
I mean, you know what? I think that's what a successful entrepreneur is. I'm not one of those yet in my head. I don't think I am, but I just don't think like, it's vague to say, but I don't think I'll ever fail. Like there's no way I can fail if I just keep on trying.
Yeah.
Like honestly.
Absolutely.
Unless like another pandemic rips it from my.
Hey, you were able to go through it and pivot. So like, hey, I don't think there's anything that's going to stop you from now.
Oh God, I hope not. Cause this was crazy.
Yeah, I know.
That was great. I mean, yeah. And I mean, I already have tasted the ground. I already know what the ground tastes like. So I can't go anywhere but up, basically.
Oh, absolutely.
That's how I see it.
Shout out to the movie Sing. I mean, if you haven't watched it, Mr. Moon from Sing, he's like the main character. And his thing is like, hey, like
right?
if when you're down below, there's nowhere else to go but up.
Yeah. Oh, I love that movie. The second one, right? Sing.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a good movie. I saw
Absolutely.
it.
My kids love it.
To see it.
And you're a singer, so it's right up your alley.
Singing with it. Yeah. I had to watch it.
Yeah. If you could talk to Kristina at 18 years old today, what advice would you give her?
God, you know what? Those people always like, they write notes to themselves and put it in a suitcase. I need to do that to myself.
Homework for this podcast.
Next week. But, I would just say you're stronger than you think that you are.
Wow.
There's been many moments in my life that have shocked me. Just not thinking that I was strong enough to handle it, or thinking that I wasn't smart enough to do it, but yeah, basically like to just go for it. Whatever you want, just do it. I've always been a doer, but when you're 18, you have everybody else in the back of your mind and all these, what if they look at me like this? What if they think I do, at this moment in time, I'm like 35. I'm like, you know what? I don't care. Like, it is what it is. This is what you get. But definitely, you are way stronger than you think you are.
That's very, very powerful advice. And I think the great thing about this podcast is once we put it out, I mean, this episodes are going to YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, Stitcher, pretty much everywhere that you can find podcasts. Years later, you're going to listen to your own episode and you're going to listen to this advice. And I think that, things will happen through this podcast and to the future time that advice that you just gave your 18-year-old self will play a role in kind of picking you back up to any hitch or anything like that. Nothing major, but something. I think it's applicable to any point of anybody's life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to look back when I'm like 40
There you go.
or 50 at this podcast and be like,
hopefully we
"Geez,
still have the internet at that
did you
time.
even grow up? You just never grew up, did you?" That's just what I'm going to tell myself.
Well, being an entrepreneur, as busy as you are, working with a partner and kind of, I can imagine your schedules and stuff like that, dealing with, the different clients while you're running, a different brand and things of that nature. Being an entrepreneur, what would you say is your favorite productivity hack?
Reminders on my phone. Yeah, that's the only thing, honestly, when my brain is like, I've never been pregnant, but I'm pretty sure I experienced what pregnancy brain is when I'm so many things going. I can't remember anything. So I've literally been stuck on reminders on my iPhone and those help. Like, that's my hack. I used to not use them that often, but man, it saves me sometimes because honestly, I can do and say one thing and then the next day I'll be like, that didn't happen. Like, I don't know. It's crazy. I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen to my brain when I actually do get pregnant?
We'll see.
Oh my God, if I'm like that now,
I'll ask your husband.
That'll be pretty bad. Yeah.
Well, if there was,
I don't have any other hacks though. I don't know.
For sure. Well,
Tell me
that's great advice. I think, it's simple, but it's definitely very, very practical.
It's the easiest way.
Yeah, for sure.
I always have like little notebooks everywhere. I have notebooks in my car. I have one thing that I just realized, I'm sure I'm super late with this, but I just realized that there's something called the Rocket Book. I don't know if you have one yet.
Nope, I do not.
But,
I'm going to write it down.
Oh my God, it's amazing. I have one right here.
What is it? Oh, wow.
These are my notes. These are some of my notes. So it comes with its own little pen and a eraser. It's more like a cloth, but you just get water and you erase it with the cloth and that's it. And then this thing has an app.
Oh.
And the app goes straight to wherever you want to send it.
Wow.
So
I got to get those.
You can tell it to send it to your email. You can tell it to send it to your Google Docs, your anywhere. And you don't have to ever spend money on more paper anymore. So anyways, I have a small one and I have a big one.
Oh, that's good. I need that. I feel like I still have like pieces of paper taking
See,
notes.
I'm like that too. I had so many. And Sheena writes recipes down every week, right? So I got one for her because I was like, dude, you'll never have to waste paper again. And it's so convenient because, you can take a picture with your phone and then you send it somewhere else and somewhere else. But this one, it goes straight to the app. And then the app tells you, so you take a picture with your app and then the app asks you where you want to send it. And Sheena and I use Google Docs. This is actually how we stay organized. We use Google Docs and we do like a to-do list and everything like that. And everything that we do is on those, on our Google Docs, like our pricing sheets, our, cost of goods sold, our everything is on there. So those notes go to the Google Docs and she can see them too. And so it's just like, I just realized this in December.
Wow.
But anyways,
I'm getting one of those.
That has been awesome because before, I would just take calls and I have paper, any kind of paper. I'd just be like, oh yeah, when's your event? Yeah.
Well, I'm getting one of those. When my wife listens to this episode, shout out, for my birthday.
Shout out to Rocketbook or Rocketbook. Hey, Rocketbook. I'm just saying, I am saying this is awesome. I think you should give one to Chris.
Yeah, there you go. I'll plug it on the episodes. Be one of the sponsors.
Yeah. Hashtag. Yeah. Sponsor Chris. He needs one.
There you go.
And he'll he'll do a demanstration.
I will. I will. I would
podcast.
even do a separate video just
I will.
for that. I would love to maybe interview the inventor or the entrepreneur that's behind it too. So that works as well.
It's really cool. The only thing is that you have to use their pens, which comes with it.
Yeah.
So, it's fine. And you cannot have it in the sun, as people have ruined the pens, but it can't be in heat.
Gotcha. Well,
So,
I'm
and
never
this
in
is
heat.
the eraser too.
I'm like a polar
That's
bear,
an
so I'm always in a
eraser.
cold place. So that won't be a problem.
Yeah. It's literally awesome though. Like it's the new craze.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm just like erasing and it's gone.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm gonna let every entrepreneur.
But you can use
I know-
anything. You don't have to like demonstrate it for no. No, yeah, I'll demonstrate. I was like, wait, I didn't copy those notes yet. No, I have a. Imagine I just erased everything that I did. But yeah, it gives you like a cloth like this, and then you. I can't believe I'm doing a demonstration. Right now.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel like I'm doing like a food show.
Yeah, there you go.
I feel like I'm doing a food show right now, but and we would do, if you want a food show, we can do a podcast.
Oh,
Food.
yeah, I would love that.
But anyways, it's you just
You
erase
use any
it.
cloth, or they provide?
Yeah, you can. I mean, this is a cloth that they gave you, but
Okay.
you can use any cloth. You use any cloth, and then I mean, I use like literally napkins. If I don't have a cloth next to me, I can use
My shirt.
as long as you just have water. Yeah, as long as you just have water, and then you just you have to let it dry for a little bit because then it just doesn't
Oh,
write that well. But yeah, it's not writing that well because it's not dry.
yeah,
yet.
for
But
sure.
anyways, you reuse it,
That's fascinating.
and yeah, I'm like,
Oh, that's good. I'm gonna doodle on that. I'm gonna draw my diagram.
right? I mean, shoot, even kids could doodle on this thing.
I know. I
like,
should give that to my
Right?
kids too. Absolutely, that's gonna be amazing.
just doodle on it. Like, this has been awesome.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna get
So-
one of those.
These are my doodles, my buffet doodles.
There you go.
Yeah, those are my buffet doodles.
Yeah,
As I have to draw. I should have taken a drawing class,
there you
knowing
go.
that I have to draw out my events.
Wow. Yeah, most definitely. That would be another upskill. I mean, you're always you said earlier, like you're always looking to improve.
Right?
So that's another skill you can add.
Always. I did actually, right before the pandemic closed, and as an entrepreneur, you have to always train, like have your brain sharp, yourself. And there's always things that you can do. One thing that I did during the pandemic, so because I didn't have very much money coming in, I had to look at my expenses, and I was able to tailor down a lot of my expenses that were like, things that either I could do on my own or things that I didn't need anymore. And one of the cool things that I did, I took a photography class, and that's why my pictures look amazing, because I took a photography class, and it was well worth like $150, but I was going to get paid like a photographer to come and take pictures of my food at the events, and that would have been way more.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I take my own pictures.
There you go. Upskill. Always upskilling as an entrepreneur.
Always, always, always.
Well, if you had
Yeah.
3 wishes that could be granted to you, what would you wish for?
Right now?
Yes.
Well, I would definitely be in the airports. I would be in all of the airports in California, at least. I would also be in definitely the stadiums, Dodger Stadium, SoFi Stadium, which they missed an opportunity there, but SoFi Stadium, hopefully soon I'll be in the Toyota Arena, but yeah, basically the Crypto Stadium, yeah, right now. And then, in 5 years, I'll be in around the world. So it's fine. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, is there any 3 books that you can recommend to our audience that has helped you?
Oh gosh. I don't even remember. Okay, so see, I did tell you I have a really bad memory in general. So anyways, there's this book, and I can't tell you what it's called because I can't remember it, but it's not even about business. It's an Oprah Winfrey book. I'm gonna try and look it up right now. And it's really cool because it's a different type of, oh, here it is. The Path Made Clear. So this book is not anything really to do about like finances or anything like that, how to be a better boss or anything like that. I actually read like one about leadership, how to be a better leader, but I don't know who wrote that one. But anyways, the one that has really impacted me has been this Oprah Winfrey one. It's The Path Made Clear. And it's really cool because it's basically a bunch of conversations and quotes that Oprah Winfrey has put into this book, a compilation of all these quotes, all these entrepreneurs, priests, Justin Timberlake, like everybody from around the world, any kind of person that's in any kind of business, basically. I like the presidents are in there. And basically what it is that it's just telling you about either, so it's an uplifting kind of thing and giving you quotes. She tells you about how she started off as well. You should actually look into it because it actually does talk about her struggles and what she had to go through in getting into the business that she's in. And basically it's kind of a bunch of these little quotes and little stories from these well-known wealthy people and just well-known people from all over the world, telling us either about their story or about what we can do to better ourselves and what we can do to stay focused, and what they did about staying focused. So it's just really, really cool. It's not like a book like you would read. Like you can literally flip through different phases and chapters of it because it's not like a story. It's just each page is a different person that said this or said that or and it's just very like kind of gives you a perspective about individual individual how they see it, what they went through. It's really uplifting. And I actually read that a lot. I think I don't know. I think I found it in 2019, but 2020 is when I really started to like, I go back and read it from time to time because it's really powerful. The things that are said in there, from these different celebrities, Gandhi's in there. It's just really powerful, the things that they say.
Wow. I will definitely look that up. I'm going to order it on Kindle. Hopefully maybe it's
really, really cool.
I will definitely get that book, The Path Made Clear, an Oprah book. So
yeah,
for sure.
by Oprah Winfrey. Yeah. And you can, see how her story was in the very beginning. And it's similar to exactly what you're saying. You want to hear about the nitty gritty of what happens, what happened behind the scenes, or not just the sunshine and the rainbows at the end of the day that, you're successful. Yeah. But what happened before that? How was that before that? And, each person's story is different. So I like to hear stories like that. It helps me to get through the struggles that I'm facing in business, to know that I'm not alone.
Absolutely. And, like I said earlier, that's one of the goals that I have for this podcast is for people to get perspective on you're not, it seems like you are alone in suffering or going through whatever it is that you're going through, but there is an entrepreneur out there that's probably suffering something similar, not exactly the same, but something similar that you could learn from and maybe pivot, right? Like I'm sure there's someone that will listen to this episode that is stuck and feeling like what you felt, and then we'll find inspiration in you and what it is that you have gone through, and maybe reading this book, The Path Made Clear by Oprah, and kind of pick nuggets from that, and as well as this interview, and then, pivot and move on with their life and get back up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not even for somebody that has just started. It's for everyone, because people might think that I hear this all the time. People might think that people say that I'm successful. I don't see myself as successful yet. That's just because, like I said, I'm just crazy. I need more. It's just for everybody to listen to, because what they see in front of them is not what it is. A lot of the times, it's like the Instagram posts, oh, look at their life. Their life is so great. But it's not, not all the time. There's struggles that went through that. And I may be successful, but I also need to see people that are going through the same thing or have gone through the same thing that I am, as somebody else would look at me and be like, oh man, she's super successful. It's like, no, but I went through a lot of stuff to get here, so yeah.
Wonderful. Well, with that said, what are you now most looking forward to your future as an entrepreneur?
I've never said this before, but I guess I'm looking forward to having a family. I am looking to start a family soon. I say I guess because I'm starting to get my head wrapped down around that. But yeah, so hopefully in the near future, I have some kids, a kid. And I always say that I'm not really gung ho about it, because I already have a kid. This is my kid. These are my babies, Fresh Cut Catering and GrabNGo Cuisines. That's my baby, so that's why I've always been I don't need anybody else. But no, I look forward to having kids, and there goes my, I look forward to having kids, and I definitely look forward to what's in store for Fresh Cut Foods, because last year we got into the Toyota arena. We are partnered with Ontario Rain. We are partnered with Ontario Clippers. The sky's the limits right now. And it's giving me so much, it's given me a boost, I think, because I didn't go out seeking for these partnerships. They found me. And so that said a lot to Sheena and I, wow, people think highly of us, even though we might not see it. We must be doing something right. So I'm excited for what is in store for even this year. I am planning to get into at least one airport, one arena, at least this year. So I'm just excited for the stepping stones that I have coming, forth, because I feel like now we've done there's still hard work to go forth, but I feel like we've done the hardest work so far, where people are noticing us now, rather than us always having to seek out those clients and the partnerships. So I'm just grateful that we're starting to have a name in this food industry, in the community, and in our county.
Most definitely. Is there any question that you wish I'd ask you that I didn't?
Wish I asked you. What's my favorite color?
What is your favorite color? Yeah, what is your favorite color?
It's lavender.
Oh, lavender. Oh, awesome. Thank you.
As I'm wearing lavender right now. What, honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I think I've blabbed on enough about everything that I think. I can't think of anything else.
That's okay. That no worries. I mean,
I don't know.
We've gone through a lot of different questions. Maybe in closing, what is one piece of advice that you can share with our listeners in becoming or going through their journey as an entrepreneur?
Have determination. Have a goal set in mind. I mean, there's been many times that I don't have a business plan. Like, you don't have to have everything figured out, written down. As long as you're going forth and you're doing something, as long as you're trying, you can't, as long as you're going forward, you can't really go backwards, something can knock you down, and that's fine. There's going to be many, many, many moments of things that are going to knock you down, but try not to look at them as failures. Try not to look at them as things that set you back. Try to look at them as things that are stepping stones to growth. Because if you let it overcome you, then that's when your business will shut down. That's when you will find nowhere else to go. But also be innovative and looking for new ways to do things, and never stop learning. Always look for ways to be better. To what can I do to do this, or what can I do to go here? If I want to go here, where can I go? What do I have to do to get there? There's, as we mentioned, there's no blueprint. There's no ladder. There's nobody that can be like, here's the door, here you go, here's your golden ticket. Very, very, very few companies get that. It happens, but very few companies get that. And if you're looking to grow, to have this company long-term, then realize that it's going to take time. Well, there are a lot of things in this world now, such as social media, that will get you rich really quickly. However, those are not long-term. If you want something that is long-term, that is going to be your legacy, that is going to make a difference in the community, in the world, in your life, it's going to take a lot of time. And it's just a journey. One person told me that it's not a race, it's a journey. So, I've been in that situation where I'm just like, man, like, why can't I just already make a lot of money with my company? It's the journey that you go through. You have to go through the stepping stones to get there. If you get there super quickly, as I've been told this by a CPA before, they've seen many companies get big very, very quickly, and also shut down very, very quickly. So the journey that you go through to get there is going to help you. It's not only going to help you to structure your business correctly, but it's also going to give you almost a shield of if this happens again, you know how to deal with it. You've seen it before. If you didn't go through those, you wouldn't know. And if you get too big quickly, how are you going to know how to deal with it? So I know that was a lot of advice, but
no, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing to be able to share that, because you have a lot to unpack in the journey that you've had since 2014, from a part-time business owner to going full-time, and, going through pandemic, getting practically shut down, and then kind of reinventing your business, your company, and all of that, and then kind of moving forward to the future. So I'm sure our listeners will take that advice head on and then, run with it. Where can listeners learn more about you and your business?
Yeah, they can go onto our new website. It's actually freshcuteats.com. And you can check out our catering on there. We have our menus. We also have our online GrabNGo Cuisine store on there as well. And you can check it out. Feel free to text me if you have any questions, if you want to just vent, if you have anything like that. I am always all ears for any kind of entrepreneur, because I know what it takes and what I've been through.
For sure. Well, thank you so much, Kristina, for giving me and our listeners your time today. I invite our listeners to please do connect with Kristina from Fresh Cut Catering and Fresh Cut Foods, as well as myself. Also, please do share, subscribe, leave a rating and review. I would very much appreciate your honest feedback, which will help me continually provide impactful content that I hope you guys will find valuable. And always remember that every day that you face adversity, think of it as an opportunity to find the gold inside you. Until next time, have a great day, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Behind Main Street podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. Remember to visit www.behindmainstreet.com.